Welcome. Thank you for joining today's webinar presentation. Today we're taking a look at the Corporates module in RoomKeyPMS that is used to manage corporate accounts. For today's presentation, I have a bit of an outline here. We'll start off with some introductions, then we'll jump right into our topic and define what are corporate accounts. We'll look at a demonstration of how to create corporate accounts, how to attach corporate rates to those accounts, how to manage OTA accounts. We'll talk about when you can start using these tools in RoomKey, and then we'll wrap up our presentation with a summary and Q&A. So for our introductions today, my name is Tasha LeClaire. I'm a trainer and implementation specialist with RoomKeyPMS, and I'll be leading today's presentation. Joining me today, I do have our Director of Customer Experience, Mr. William Tam. He will be overseeing the chat and Q&A section throughout our presentation. Now, everyone attending today's live presentation, your microphones are currently muted, but we do encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. So if you have any questions, go ahead and click the Q&A button on the Zoom meeting presentation, and William will be able to answer those throughout our presentation today. If there's any questions that we can't get to, we will look at using those for our Q&A at the end, or we will be able to answer those offline following the presentation. A couple more things about today's webinar is that the webinar is being recorded, so if you've registered for the webinar but not able to attend the live presentation, you will receive a notification when that webinar recording is made available on our support website. For those of you that are attending today's live webinar presentation, there is a quick 3-question survey presented at the end. We do appreciate any feedback you're able to provide to us, and if you'd like to make a suggestion for any future topics, we also really appreciate that too. That helps us keep this going throughout the year. Now, speaking of future topics, I'm happy to announce that next month's presentation topic is going to be reporting. So that's going to cover the standard reports inside RoomKey, is going to include custom reporting using the report wizard, and we'll also talk about the RoomKeyPMS Business Insights tool that is used for reporting across properties as well. So let's dive in for today's topic. We're taking a look at the corporate accounts, and for RoomKeyPMS purposes, we use a bit of a definition here. So in RoomKey, corporate accounts are the representation of a negotiated contract with an organization, specifically where guest accommodations are subject to availability. Now that last part there, that's important because if you are looking to take a block of rooms out of general availability and hold them aside for a company or an organization, you'll really want to look at using either a group block or a wholesaler block for that purpose. Today, we'll be focusing on corporate accounts where there are no rooms set aside for these organizations. Guests are accommodated based upon availability at the time of booking. So going back to that first part of this definition where we talk about the representation of a negotiated contract, there are some elements that need to be negotiated before you start creating these corporate accounts inside RoomKey. The first thing that needs to be negotiated with the organization is what qualifies a guest to receive a corporate account or a corporate designation. In this case, it is typically guests that need to reference a business that they are traveling on behalf of, or it could be that the business is booking on behalf of their guests. Either way, guests are typically asked to provide a piece of ID at check-in in order to qualify for the corporate account rate. Now, speaking of rates, the next thing that you'll want to negotiate as part of this contract is any rates or room type restrictions. So using corporate accounts, we can actually restrict the type of rates that guests have access to when they're booking as part of a corporate account. We can also restrict the types of rooms that they can access as well. Now, the last type of negotiation is optional, but you can negotiate different billing methods, specifically the ability to bill directly to a company. We use the term city ledger billing, but also another common term is direct billing, where the guest may or may not pay for their own incidentals, but the room and tax charges are going to be paid by the company after the guest has checked out. And again, for a little more information on managing those, invoicing the company after guests have stayed, that really is within the City Ledger module webinar we did a little bit earlier in this series. So once you have negotiated these three components, you are ready to now create your corporate account inside RoomKey. Let's take a look at how corporate accounts appear in RoomKey, and then we'll look at how to create them in the corporates module. On screen, I have pulled up a demo database, RoomKeyPMS Hotel, with some test data, some test reservations already entered in. I'm taking a look here at the in-house reservation screen, and I can select this guest we currently have in-house. This guest is staying as part of a corporate business rate. So I can see that their client type is corporate. They have a corporate preferred rate code. They are part of Audi Canada corporate account, and I can also see a little reservation note off to the side reminding the reservation and front desk team that room and tax is going to be going to the Audi Canada City Ledger account, and that the guest is responsible for paying their own incidentals. Another feature of this, because the room and tax is going to be going to a City Ledger account, if I take a look at the guest folio where the guest room charges are listed, these charges are automatically posted to folio 8, which is set aside for City Ledger transfers. And I can see the City Ledger transfer button available in the top right corner. Now, if you'd like to see more information about how to use City Ledger Transfer to direct bill charges to the City Ledger account, definitely check out that City Ledger module webinar we did earlier in this series. So all this information located on the guest info tab and the guest folio tab has automatically attached to this reservation when the booking was made by the reservation agent. The reservation agent was able to select the client type and the corporate account, and the rest of the details were automatically generated for them. Now, the way that we set this up in advance for the use of the front desk team is to use the corporates module. This module is found in the operations menu, and it is simply called corporate. When this module opens up, it will show a list of all of your active and inactive corporate accounts listed alphabetically in this main screen. When an account is selected, it will show the details of the account in the lower half of the screen. And when you need to manage the account or create a new account, you have the function buttons on the right-hand side, the ability to add, modify, or delete an account. Now today we'll be looking at adding and modifying accounts. One thing I'd like to note about deleting an account, if you create a corporate account and attach it to a reservation, you no longer have the ability to delete the account because it is associated with a reservation. Even if the reservation is canceled or checked out, you will still no longer be able to delete the account because it is part of that historical record that is permanently recorded in RoomKey. So instead of deleting an account that has been attached to a reservation at any time, you would simply deactivate the account. And we'll look at that during our modification steps here in just a little bit. But to get us started, I'm going to, I've negotiated a contract with a company called Gold Corp, and I'm going to create a new corporate account for them. So I'll select the Add button here on the right-hand side. And now I'm going to enter in the required fields. The information that is required for the general information of a corporate account includes a corporate ID, the corporate name and contact person, a street address, including zip, city, country, and state information. We also require a telephone number be on file for every corporate account. And I do strongly recommend that you utilize the fields in the lower left-hand corner, specifically the attached note and folio number field. In the attached note, I have indicated any booking or billing instructions. In this case, similar to the Audi Canada, the attached note indicates that room and tax is going to go to the Gold Corp City Ledger account, and then the guest is going to pay their own incidentals. Now, because the guest is paying their own, because the room and tax is going to the City Ledger account, I've used the folio number drop-down menu to indicate that room and tax charges are to be posted to folio 8 automatically. Folio 8 is used to hold any charges that the guest is not directly responsible for paying for themselves. So if the guest was to pay their own room and tax charges, I would use the other option that appears here in the drop-down menu, option 1, folio 1. Now, because these corporation is brand new, or this contract is brand new, I can also create the City Ledger account at the same time, and then that way they are automatically attached together. So there's no need to go to a separate module in the City Ledger to create an account and then attach the two. I can actually do that all in one step when I create the corporate account here in the Corporates module. To create the City Ledger account at the same time as creating the corporate account, I can select Has City Account, Create New Account. I will be able to use the City Account field to enter in the name of the City Ledger account. So I like to use the same name as the corporate account. And lastly, do not forget to add a credit limit information here. You want to make this credit limit high enough that charges can be transferred from the front desk into this account without going over that limit. So now that I've entered in the general information and included a new City Ledger account attachment, I can select the Post button in the bottom right corner. Now this account has been created. I can review any account activity for these existing accounts inside the corporate module using the reporting menu. Here, the reporting menu gives me options for pro forma invoicing that will show me future corporate activity, or I can review corporate activity for any past guest stays. So I don't have any corporate activity yet for this Gold Corp organization that I just created. I'm actually going to go directly to one of our other corporate accounts here, select Reports, and Pro Forma Invoice for selected. Now this report will show you a pro forma invoice for a single account, but we do have the option to print those for multiple accounts or all accounts in the system there. The pro forma invoice will show you any reservation IDs, the date that the reservation was made, the date that the guest will arrive and their length of stay, the name of the guest, and the balance expected for the room and tax for that guest stay. Now back here in the reporting menu, if you wanted to print that out for a separate invoice for all future activity, you can do that for pro forma invoice for all. Another common report that you might want to access is review any of the past guest stays for these corporate accounts. So I like to use the corporate activity for all. Let's take a look at corporate activity this past month. Here on this report, it will group the corporate guest stays by corporate account. At the top, you will also note if the company has an associated city ledger account, or if they do not, that space will be blank. Each reservation, again, will list the res ID, and because the guest has already stayed at the property, it will also list the room number. You'll see the name of the guest, the date that they arrived, and the length of their stay. It will show the average daily rate and the revenue generated, as well as break out those taxes and then show you the total at the end. For each corporate grouping, it will show the total per corporate account, and then at the bottom of this report you'll see that the total for the report itself. So we had a total of 3 reservations stay in the last month, and that report and that total is reported at the bottom right corner. Now, if you ever need to close a corporate account or end your contract with an organization, you can deactivate the corporate account here in the corporate module. You'll select the account, click the Modify button on the right-hand side, and you'll remove the checkmark from the active checkbox. Then you'll click the Post button. Now that account record will remain in this corporate module. It will still populate on any qualifying reports, but you'll notice that the checkmark is removed from this column, indicating that the corporate account is not active. This also means that when the reservation agent makes a reservation or a booking for a corporate client type, this account will not appear in the list of available corporate accounts. The nice thing about activating or deactivating an account is that if you ever renegotiate a new contract with this organization, instead of having to create a duplicate corporate account, you can actually reactivate their existing account. Simply by repeating that process, you would select the account listing here in the corporate module, click Modify, recheck the active checkbox, click Post, and that account is once again active in this module. Now, of course, if you are reactivating a deactivated account, I do recommend that you review the details on file for their general information in order to ensure that it is up to date with the current details for that organization. If you need to update details, any of this general info that we set up at the time that we created the account, you can use that Modify button again. One thing that I do recommend, though, is that if you needed to make any changes to the city ledger account attached to the organization, to this corporate account, that you'll need to make those changes inside the city ledger module. So for example, if you needed to change the credit limit, if you needed to change the city account name, definitely go to the city ledger module to make those changes accordingly. Any changes you make, you want to select Post in the bottom right-hand corner, or if you don't want to save those changes and revert back to what was originally saved, you can click the Cancel button. So now that we've had an opportunity to see how you can create and manage corporate accounts in the corporate module in RoomKey, let's take a look at our next step, which is how to attach corporate rates to these corporate accounts. Here in the RoomKeyPMS Hotel Test Database, the corporate account that I created for Gold Corp is going to qualify for the preferred corporate rate. In order to attach the Gold Corp account to the corporate preferred rate, I'm going to access the Rate Wizard. That is found in System Configuration, and it's called the Rate Wizard. This module will open up, and it will show a list of all of the rate plans that are currently built inside this database. You will locate the rate plan that you want to attach to your corporate rate. If you don't have an existing rate plan in the Rate Wizard, you can use this tool to create a brand new rate plan for that company. In this case, though, I do have a corporate preferred rate located here. Select the rate, and you'll click the Edit button represented here by the pen and paper tool. When this opens up, you're going to navigate to the Corporates tab. For the Corporates tab, it will show you, it will group all the corporate accounts grouped by distribution channel. So if you want to allow corporate guests to contact the hotel direct and make their booking with this corporate account, you would click the black arrow to expand this list. And from the Hotel Direct distribution channel, you will select the corporate account you created. So in this case, Gold Corp. If you also want to allow Gold Corp guests to use your eRes booking engine to book a stay for this corporate account, you can use the black arrow to expand the hotel website distribution channel and also select Gold Corp. This is optional though. If you only allow these corporate guests to book by contacting the hotel direct, this is not required. You do not need to attach to the hotel website distribution channel. Once you've attached the Gold Corp corporate account to the corporate preferred rate or the rate you've selected, you would click the Update button. Note that when you are creating a brand new corporate rate here, when you attach the corporate account on the Corporates tab, just an extra reminder to also click the Client Types tab and attach the corporate client type to one or all distribution channels. So once you have attached the corporate rate to the corporate account here in the Rate Wizard, you can close the module completely. Now I recommend that you make a test booking or test out the corporate attachment. You can do that when you click New Res, select the corporate client type. To the right-hand side, you will select your corporate account you just created. And when you refresh the calendar, when you select the rate drop-down menu, you should be able to see the selected rate you used in the Rate Wizard. So in this case, corporate preferred rate. Now, this is the method that is used to attach an existing rate for all room types. If you only want Gold Corp guests to book a specific room type, you can use the Corporates module to attach the corporate rate in that method. So let's see that next. Instead of going to the Rate Wizard, I can go directly to my Corporates module. Locate the corporate account, select the Rates tab, and this will list all the available rates on the right-hand side, and you are able to attach rates by room type using the room type drop-down. Now, because I've already attached the corporate rate for in the Rate Wizard, it has automatically attached this corporate preferred rate for all room types. So for example, I can see that it's attached for the SK room type. If there is a room type that I don't want the guest to book after I've attached it in the Rate Wizard, you can also use this method to remove those corporate rates. So for example, if I don't want the guest to book my EKS room type, I can select that from the drop-down menu, select Corporate Preferred Rate, and use the black arrow key to remove that option and post. Now if I test that out, I can close the corporate module, select New Reservation, select the corporate client type and the Gold Corp company. And when I refresh the calendar and take a look at my EKS room type, you'll notice that the corporate preferred rate is not available for that room type. However, it is still available for all other room types that were selected by default there. Now that we've seen how we can attach and manage corporate rates attached to corporate accounts, I now want to take one step further and take a look at how to manage OTA accounts. We can use our corporate module to attach rates, qualify guests, and specify billing. This is a great tool to manage those online travel agents like Booking.com, Expedia, Agoda, any third-party travel agent online that sends you business. I've opened up the RoomKeyPMS demo hotel again, and here I am showing a corporate account, a corporate guest with their corporate account. Now, when it comes to managing OTAs and OTA bookings, there are a few differences when these types of reservations are generated inside RoomKey. Here, if I navigate over to Booking.com, you'll notice that the client type that we use, instead of using corporate client type, we do recommend that you create a corporate client type called OTA. Now, because online travel agents often have different billing methods, whether the guest is paying and you are, as the hotel, collecting that payment direct from the guest, that is called hotel collect or billing, or standard billing, sorry. Another type of billing method that you could have is if the guest has prepaid for their room and tax directly to the online travel agent. And in that case, instead of receiving the guest credit card information, you would actually receive a virtual credit card. So if I take a look at this other reservation, this is a prepaid reservation. I can see the client type is OTA prepaid, and the credit card information on file reflects that virtual credit card information. The other major thing that we see is this hide rate indicator, advising the front desk not to disclose the rate information to the guest directly. Because with these types of reservations, the guest has paid a rate directly to Expedia or the OTA, the rate that appears here in RoomKey is actually the net rate. So it is the rate minus Expedia's commission. So because the net rate appears here in RoomKey, we do not provide a receipt to the guest after they've stayed. If the guest does request to have a copy of their final bill, you can let them know that they've prepaid their stay and that they should review their Expedia booking or their OTA booking for that receipt information. So that is a trigger that we've actually set up on the OTA prepaid client type, that ability to hide the rate. And of course, any printed documentation that might be provided to the guest, like a confirmation letter or a registration card, it will also omit those rate details. So in order to create these two unique client types, you will go directly to the client types module. And here I have OTA Hotel Collect for any guests where you are receiving the guest credit card information and charging room and tax directly to the guest. And then I also have the prepaid option here, OTA prepaid. And this specific tool that I use to hide rate is this hide rate indicator. So I've indicated that any guests that are booked with the OTA prepaid client type, it's going to show that red indicator telling the front desk not to disclose that rate information, and it also omits the rate information from any printed documentation automatically. So with this information in hand and prepared in advance, we are now ready to create our OTA, use the corporate module to create our OTA accounts. I'll go to the operations menu and open up the corporate module. You would select the add button to add a new account. In this case, I'm going to use our Expedia accounts as examples. If I scroll down to the bottom here, I can see the OTA Hotel Collect account. This is for Expedia, and much of the information is quite standard, exactly what we saw when we created the Gold corporate account, with the exception of the attached note and folio number information. Here in the attached note, I'm letting the front desk and reservation teams know that the guests will pay their own charges. And I've also indicated that folio number 1. So room and tax charges will automatically post to folio 1 for this guest. For OTA accounts, because you are often provided either the guest credit card information or a virtual credit card information, there is no need to attach a Citi account. Now, to contrast that billing method, when I set up the Expedia prepaid account, you'll notice that in the attached note field and folio number, those are a little more similar to that Gold Corp setup we did a little bit earlier in today's presentation. The attached note is letting the front desk and reservation team know that the room and tax is prepaid on folio 8 using a virtual credit card that is provided automatically with the booking. The rest of this messaging also advises the front desk team to collect the guest credit card at check-in so that the guest can be responsible for paying any incidental charges, or certainly if there's any damage or smoking fees incurred during the guest stay. Now, the folio number, we also use folio 8 because those charges will be hidden from the guest on folio 8, and we will use that virtual credit card to take payment and post that to folio 8 as per the attached note instructions. Now, because each OTA will have its own corporate account built here in the corporate module, Expedia is one company, but it offers 2 billing methods. So that's why there are 2 corporate accounts built here in the corporate module. Now, you will also have to attach separate corporate rates based off of the settings in the rate wizard as well. So I'm going to move over to the rate wizard and we'll see how these corporate accounts are attached to those corresponding rates in the rate wizard. When I go back to System Configuration and select Rate Wizard, I'll notice that I have a couple of Expedia rates listed down below. The Expedia Hotel Collect rate, when I select the Edit button, the pen and paper symbol, and select the Corporates tab, I can expand this and see that this Expedia Hotel Collect corporate account is attached to the GDS distribution channel. This is the required setup if you have a Expedia Direct Connect, or if you are distributing your Expedia rates through a channel manager like SiteMinder, iHotelier, etc. The other thing that is unique here on the Client Types tab, once again, for the GDS distribution channel, you'll notice that I do not have the corporate client type, but rather that OTA Hotel Collect client type selected. This means that when a guest makes a booking on Expedia.com for a Hotel Collect rate, where they provide their credit card information to the hotel for room and tax payment, that the reservation will automatically come through the GDS interface with the OTA Hotel Collect client type and my Expedia Hotel Collect corporate account automatically attached with all the notes and billing instructions. Now, if I take a look at another rate, this time one of our prepaid rates for Expedia, and once again select the Edit button. Here on the Corporates tab, you will also see that the correct corporate account is attached. So it specifically is attached with the Expedia prepaid corporate account. And on the Client Types tab for the GDS distribution channel, I have the OTA prepaid client type selected. And that ensures that that hide rate functionality that we looked at in the client types menu is automatically associated when this reservation comes through from Expedia. Thanks. So even though most of your OTA bookings will come through the interface automatically, it is still possible for front desk agents to manually make an OTA reservation. So I can manually make an OTA reservation, selecting New Res. Use the Client Type drop-down menu to select the correct OTA client type, either OTA Hotel Collect or Prepaid. Then select the correct OTA company from this drop-down menu. The arrival and departure dates for the guest. And when I refresh the calendar, here in the rates menu, I can see any available Hotel Collect rates that are associated with this Hotel Collect corporate account. When you select the appropriate rate and book the room type, on the Guest Info tab, you will see that that reservation note automatically populates for you. So that's that billing instruction that is being pulled over from the corporate account built in the corporate module. Of course, you can go through and complete the booking, ensuring that you have the correct payment method information on file. Now that we've had an opportunity to see how we can use the tools available inside RoomKey and the Rate Wizard and Corporate module, as well as the Client Types module to manage OTA accounts and billing, we will now be able to let you know when can you start using this tool. Well, all three of these modules that I've mentioned and shown in this demonstration are available with every standard RoomKeyPMS database. So you can actually get started with these tools right away. To summarize our presentation for today, the RoomKeyPMS Corporates module provides a simplified location to efficiently manage your business traveler amenities and activities. So thank you everyone for joining in today. I want to open up the floor now to see if you have any questions or any outstanding questions.